Hey, Africa. How are you doing? Hello, Jennifer. Nice to have you on. Let me unmute
Oh
you.
my
Okay.
gosh, I forgot you guys could see my whole board in the back.
Nobody can read it.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one to read, but oh well.
Wonderful to have Jennifer on.
Yes, I'm so excited to have her here.
Yay. And then other people probably jump on when they jump on because I know some people are taking a lunch break, so they may jump on and off during our call, but this is being recorded, so we'll make sure to have the replay for everybody who wants to learn all these wonderful experiences, these wonderful tools about overcoming overwhelm. Okay, so Jennifer's asking, does she need video?
No, you don't have to be on video, honey, if you don't want to.
So yeah, I don't think we as long as you can hear us, I think we're good. And of course, if you have questions, you can always unmute Jennifer at some point whenever we open to questions, or you can just type them in the chat like you just did, and we'll make sure to answer them. All right. Well, do you want to go ahead and get started, and then people just jump on when they jump on?
Sure. I have a slide presentation, if that's okay. I realize I hadn't talked to you about that, but if that works, then...
That works. Well, why don't we first start with just a couple of little intros about you and who you are and what you do and who you serve, and then we can get into the presentation, unless the slides already have that.
They do.
Okay. Of course they do. You're always prepared, African. Okay, then.
I come somewhat prepared and happy to be here. So first and foremost, before I even get over to the slides, I want to thank Linda for reaching out and providing this opportunity to let me speak to everyone. I really appreciate it. It's nice to be welcomed into someone else's space. So Linda, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You know, you're always welcome into my space.
So I have known Linda, it seems like now, gosh.
It's been years.
Years, maybe like 8 years or something, I want to say, because my son was very young when I met you.
Yes, he was little. I think he was a toddler, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and for a long time. Linda and I met at the Circle Collective.
Yeah.
And back when it was at a studio, like a yoga studio. I forgot what, it was a yoga studio.
Yeah, it was like a little studio that Shirley Norwood used to run that on Hancock Drive.
I was like trying to remember where it was. I know how to get there from the street. But it was awesome. It was such a wonderful experience for me. And in essence, I'm going to be referencing that experience in this presentation because it was one of the things that really helped me, that really, truly supported me. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Steven. So I'm excited, and I really wanted to say that because when I start talking about community, being part of that community, the Creatrix Circle is really what helped me tremendously to go to the next level.
Yes.
Community is amazingly important.
Yes. Absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. Let me make sure I have everything that I need here, guys. I'm going to share my screen. I say I'm going to share it. I promise you I will in a moment. And just know that that's my come from. That's where I know Linda, and that's something that really, truly supported me in a way that I never visualized or thought it could.
Yay.
Okay.
So
it is. I mean, well, Jennifer, you know all about that support, girl. Okay.
And I'll be sharing more about this Creatrix Circle because I relaunched it this year. And so we will definitely talk about that towards the end. So anybody who wants to join that Creatrix Circle in June is very welcome. So I'll give everybody information about that.
All right. So guys, you can let me know if you can see my screen. I'm assuming just nod or whatever. Okay, awesome. Okay. So basically, most of you know who I am. I'm Africa Archield. I'm a joy expert. I help women who are stressed out, overwhelmed, and exhausted transform into the vibrant, fulfilled, and generous queens that they are. It's right there on the inside of them. And I've been a spiritual transformation coach for women since 2006. So I've been doing this for quite a long time. And you're going to learn more about my journey as I go through this. So I'm not going to really get into everything right now, my whole background, because you're going to get probably a little bit of TMI anyway. Okay, I'm going to bring up the chat so I have it in front of me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Jennifer, you're in the right room, baby.
Exactly.
Okay, so today I'm going to tell you about the exact milestones that I used on the way to my peace, joy, love lifestyle. And guys, I'm still working on it too. But these are the milestones I went through that really catapulted me. And that's why I want to share with you. And a final step to really get started immediately that you can just use out of the chute. There's going to be several tools I'm going to share along the way. But the final one I'm going to share with you, I really believe, along with community, made such a difference. It was like the mindset shift that I needed, really. Okay, so my journey. So we're going to do kind of a little timeline thing here. Like most people, I went through the hustle and bustle of life. One of the major issues I had was having too much to do. And I think now I have even more things inputting on me than I did then. I mean, now social media and the internet is just in 24/7 news, and all that just really has us going in a whirl most of the time. Add that to the chaotic life and really being on call. If you don't work for yourself, you pretty much feel on call to your job 24/7. Especially, I should say, if you work for yourself. But even if you work for a corporation, which I did for a while, I felt on call 24/7 anyway, weekends, nights, etc. We just all have too much to do, so many obligations. So like I said, I worked in academia and I worked in corporate America for over 20 years. There is a struggle in that juggle. And when I left to go into entrepreneurship, I thought, oh my God, I'll finally be free. I finally won't have so much to do. I won't have so many multiple demands on my time. And you better know that I was wrong. I was absolutely and utterly wrong about that. Oops, I thought, did I miss something? No. Okay. So there was this day. There's something missing here. But there is this day when I was going crazy. I had left my job. I had my children. So my daughter was probably a preteen at this time. My son was a toddler. And I just had a breakdown because I had too much to do. I was literally screaming and pulling out my hair. I didn't know how I was going to clean the house, take my daughter across town in rush hour traffic to her theater, practice by 5, pick up my son from his play date at 4, complete a project for my dad by 9 p.m. just in case he needed to make changes to it for his 8 a.m. meeting. There's something about when you work for yourself, this is just an aside, that I don't know what it is, but your relatives or whomever always think that you don't have anything else to do. I don't know what that's about, but just an aside in case you decide to go the entrepreneurial route, right? Anyway, so of course at that time I was also going to school. I was working on my PhD and I had a paper to finish, right? And I had to proof it and turn it in by 1 o'clock in the morning. It was already over 100 pages long. I still needed to add 25 to 30 pages to it. And, you know, mom, wife, I still need to make dinner that night for my husband because he had already said he was tired of having so much takeout. So I was screaming and crying incoherently, which seemed probably like to my daughter completely out of the blue. And I realized if I'd woken up that morning and realized all I had to do, I probably wouldn't have had such a meltdown. Right? Maybe I wouldn't have been screaming and pulling out my hair, but in that moment, you know, it was 3 in the afternoon. All the weight of all my to-dos all my obligations were crashing down on me, right? I knew that paper needed 4 hours, but, you know, probably really 5 to 6 because it always takes longer than you think. My dad's project needed another 3 hours. It took 30 minutes, maybe 45, depending on that Austin traffic to go get my son. And I remembered I needed gas. So I had to stop for gas too, and I hadn't pulled anything out of the freezer. I didn't have any sides to serve with dinner anyway, which meant I had to go to the grocery store. And when I got my son, he would be hungry, but he'd have to drive across town with me to drop off his sister and back and then to the store. And oh my gosh, I was just trashed. I felt awful, you know? I wasn't sure what to do. My daughter, in her kindness and all her love, put her arms around me and said, Mama, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. You know, Mom, you always get it done. And I thought, yeah, I do always get it done. Every single time I get it done. I don't know what it is that we are as women where we just always get it done. Exactly, Linda. At what price? You know, at what price do we have of getting this done? It was a really difficult moment for me, but I was so happy that it came to a head, right? That it came to a head in my life. So we left the house after I kind of pulled myself together. And normally I would have been so annoyed at this child for sticking the earphones in her ears. But that day I was happy that she was tuning me out because I need her to. I needed to think. I needed to figure out how I'm going to take myself from this crazy, overwhelmed state to like this peaceful, joyous, love-filled life I dreamed about when I left corporate and decided to stay at home with the kids. I'm supposed to be blissed out AF right now and what was going on in my life. So that day, that beautiful day, I started to make a plan, right? It starts with a decision. And maybe you've had these decision days before too. So let me know. I haven't been really keeping up with the chat. Let me know if you've had these decision days where everything was going crazy. You thought you were going to kill yourself or someone else. Maybe you don't have to own that whole thing. And you decided, I'm not going to live like this anymore. Okay, yeah, I thought so. There's a few of you have felt that, right? Pleading for death. Because it's so overwhelming. It makes you almost crazy. Yeah, on your knees yelling at God, that trust me. Yes, 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 and yes. So I knew this isn't what I wanted. I knew it wasn't the life for me or my kids or my husband. And I'm not going to lie. And you can tell me if this is you too. I have been at this moment more than once. Right? I have been at that moment more than once. And the other times I've been at that moment, I would get to this. I'm like, I make a decision. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm going to make a plan, and this is no longer going to happen. And I punted. I didn't really do anything. Right? I don't know if you've had that happen to you before, where you got to this point and you realize that, I don't know. Let's face it, life comes along. And for you to fumble through and try to figure out how to fix what's going on while life is tumbling out of control, it's difficult. You know, I'm not going to lie, it's difficult. It's one more thing when you already have too much to do that you're trying to add in there, right? Yeah, exactly, Jennifer. Like you evolve and then devolve, and you're just kind of going through the motions, and hopefully you're going up the spiral. But it just feels like it's craziness. Yes. Okay. So I would like to say that time was different. It was a bit different because I actually got into action. I would push to see it through. I search for ways out of overwhelm. Okay, so let me know if you've done some of these things too. Okay, I ran across several systems that would help me take care of my symptoms, right? And you know what I mean by symptoms, right? When your arm hurts and you take a painkiller, you're treating the symptom, right? So one of my symptoms was a messy house. So I learned and implemented a system for keeping my house clean, right? I even learned how to delegate, how to get the children to help me out, because I would do everything for them because I was that kind of crazy, right? I never knew what to cook for dinner. So I learned and implemented a menu planning system, right? Now I knew what to cook for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every week. And I only shopped once a week rather than every other day going to the store because I had no organization, right? I always was double and triple booked for stuff, right? So I got this thing where I had this huge, they called it a control center, this master calendar I had up in my kitchen with everyone's schedule on it. So I wouldn't screw myself up so much, right? It was beautiful. It had lots of colors because y'all might not know this. I really like color. And so it was really beautiful. And just like a painkiller, it worked for a while. It worked for a good long while, I'm not gonna lie. And when the painkiller wears off, the pain comes back. Why? Because you never got to the core of the problem, right? So all of the symptoms, all the systems that I had didn't get to the core of my problem, right? Just like taking the painkiller for a broken arm doesn't fix your arm. It just gets rid of the pain. All right, so they did take care of those surface issues, and I'm very grateful for that, right? But I still had to deal with the overwhelm, right? I had to really dig deep to figure out what was causing my overwhelm, and that's what I learned, and that's those 5 milestones that I want to take you through. I just wanted to give you the background, and also you learned a little bit about me too, right? Probably more than you wanted to know. Oh, I wish we were at happily ever after. Heck no. Heck no. All Band-Aids. So now we got to go deep. All right. So for me, my first stop was the mental fun house, right? You got to get your mind straight, right? When I went through this journey, I found one of the major causes is located between these 2 ears. It's crazy. I could really bend things completely out of whack, right? Just like he went to his house of mirrors at the carnival and everything looked all crazy, that was my reality, right? Everything was bent up, crazy looking. And, you know, like I said earlier, if I hadn't dealt with those systems, I wouldn't have realized that I had this distorted way of looking at reality. Right? When I was going through the mental fun house and coming out the other side, it's like coming out of the fog. So one of those mental mirrors revealed by the symptoms was perfectionism. So who loves perfectionism? Just let me know in the comments. It's like this thing, we have to be perfect. Everything must be perfect, right? At some point, I had to learn how to deal with good enough. Right? And what I found so amazing on this part of dealing with perfectionism and getting to good enough is when you learn one new truth. Oh, OCD. Yes. Yes. Stacey, yes. It's hard to let go of. It's like you've really got to push on this road of good enough. So what I learned is when you learn one new truth and you really internalize it and work on it, that it pops up in other areas of your life too. So I started to realize perfectionism was dogging me in my house cleaning because everything had to be good enough as if my mother was coming over, and she was a little on the OCD side. She still is. I shouldn't say what, she is. She really is. So, and I could never clean well enough for her, right? But I also realized perfectionism was coming up in my paper writing. So the reason I was having trouble getting out stuff for my PhD program is because it had to be perfect, right? So the house cleaning system taught me how to be okay with cleaning, that wasn't up to par with what my mother would want, but it was good enough for my family. And those are the people who matter. It's amazing. It's amazing. And my mentor, who eventually became my chair, taught me to be okay with turning in drafts of my work that I thought weren't that great. They were drafts, but it turned out they were more than adequate for a grade. A good grade, actually. So I really learned a lot about my obsession with being perfect and how it was taxing me mentally, physically, and emotionally. Breaking through perfectionism. Oh my God. That was key for me, really taking out my mental funhouse, right? So I know there's a couple, oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, Stacy. Yeah. It's like you gotta let go and say, this is good enough. At some point you've gotta let go of those tapes that are in your head. Right? I had definite tapes in my head about how to clean, about how to turn in papers, about how I had to be better than the best, right? For so many reasons, right? And I don't think that your parents or caregivers or anyone else really puts this on you to be mean. It's like, it's what they learned. They're just transmitting what they know, and they're trying to help you be the best that you can be. So I don't begrudge anyone. But I know there's this definite, for me personally, and let me know if you have like a personal experience like this. In my family, I was taught you're female and you're African American. Therefore, you have to be 1,000% better than anyone else to be taken seriously. Period. And I've lived with that mental tape in my head playing over and over again. So it made me into this ferocious overachiever who had to be perfect, because if I wasn't perfect, I wouldn't be taken seriously, right? I wouldn't be seen as achieving. I'd be seen as mediocre. All of those things, right? Yes, control. Yeah, you have to be better in order to be equal. And that's how I was raised. Oh yeah, definitely, Stacy. I can't imagine what that was like in the police department. I cannot even imagine. So what you start to realize, or at least what I started to realize, is those ideas planted in my head by my family and media and my faith and my friends, they just made my warping my funhouse worse. And most of those ideas were photoshopped before they even got popped into my head anyway, right? They were never real in the first place, right? So once I straightened out the mirrors and pulled back the layers of Photoshop work, I finally realized I was striving for something as a person, as a mom, as a student, as an entrepreneur, as a sister, as a daughter, et cetera, et cetera. I was striving for something that was absolutely unachievable. It wasn't real. I was making myself insane over a falsehood, right? And there's so much more, you know, but I think you probably get my point. I guess I wanted to point out one other thing, because I did mention I was married. Hold on. Oh, I missed it. Stacy, hold on. I want to go back and get your comment. Yes, you have to look perfect, act perfect, be perfect. Oh my God. Yes, Stephen. Yes, Stephen. I totally get that. Because essentially you were this, I'd say, a very expensive accessory. Right? Our children are like accessories. Yeah. I had that same thing. When you said that, it so resonates with me. My grandfather was a minister of a very big Baptist church, and you had to act a certain way in public. You had to dress a certain way, carry yourself a certain way. And trust me, he would hear about it. It's like he had spies all over the city, which made me a little paranoid, but that's a whole nother story. But yes, you are this expensive fashion accessory for them, and you better look and act right. I totally feel you there. All right, so you might be thinking, why in all of this crazy, I never asked my husband for help, right? And this is part of that other mental funhouse thing. And I wasn't going to talk about it, but I think I just got the hit to do so. I never asked him for help because I felt like I wasn't a good wife to begin with. That I was a piss poor wife and a piss poor mother. And by asking him for help, I was even further admitting defeat where I already felt defeated. Right? So we literally didn't talk about it. Communication, it's amazing. But we never talked about it. We just kind of went by doing our own things. And when eventually, when this all came to a head, and we did talk, I found out he was scared to ask me anything because I was so on edge. Because I was so in the crazy making, he was scared to approach me lest I blow up. And I was scared to approach him because I already felt like I was a loser. Right? So, and it's all lies and stories that were floating around in my head, trying to adhere to something, an ideal that wasn't even real or attainable. Yes, as humans, we are very interesting. All right, so first off, get your mental funhouse together. Straighten out those mirrors, peel back all the Photoshop work, and actually live in reality, not the story that you're making up, not in the mortgage industry, we called it overlays. There's like what the government says you can do on a loan, and then there's overlays from the lender. Do not put overlays on life. Like, don't say, this is what I want my life to be like, and therefore I'm going to overlay that experience on top of it, because then you can't really deal with what's actually going on. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't say to yourself, this is what I want my life to be like, and focus your attention that way, but don't push that over what's going on. Otherwise, you end up with these miscommunications and lies going around masquerading as truth. Okay? Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, so Jennifer, let me get to your question because I don't know if I saw it. No, I missed it. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm going to leave it. I'll go back there in a minute. I need to probably make this bigger. All right, so then you've got to really look at, as you finish digging down, what's holding you back. Right? I think this might have been what Jennifer was getting to in the chat. What is actually holding you back into the shackles of overwhelm? Any guesses? What's actually holding you back? Steven. Yes, you're holding yourself back. It's like, what? I didn't do anything wrong. Yes, it's your mental attitudes and beliefs, all that getting off spiritual alignment. That's what holds you back. It's you. And that's the ugly truth of the whole thing. And I think it's something we don't want to admit, that we're actually, in some regards, sabotaging ourselves. Okay? It always starts and ends with you. Yes, Jennifer. Okay, so stop number 2. And I know I covered up the time, so now I feel bad. I want to make sure that we don't run out. Okay. I go through the 13 environments of life. So I'm not going to list them all now. I know I probably have them 5 places, whether it's on my YouTube channel or blog or whatever, where I list the 13 environments. So I'm not going to go through that. The point is, go through every aspect of your life, right? And as you do, you need to view it from 3 different vantage points. The first vantage point is how you feel energetically in each environment. Okay? The second vantage point is perception. How do you perceive that environment, right? What kind of overlay are you putting on that thing? Right? So let me dive a little deeper with perception. When I looked at my own perception, I look at how others perceive me versus what others actually perceive. Let me see if I can make sense. Okay. So even though I try not to care what other people think of me, I'm a human being and I still care. right? I think it's hardwired into us because we are a pack animal, so to speak. So we do care what other people think of us. So when I dove through each environment, I wanted to be sure I knew why I cared what others thought of me in that specific environment. Right? So sometimes we give a lot of weight to opinions in a specific environment that doesn't make sense. Right? They really don't have the background, or how do I want to put this? If I look to my grandmother for advice on technical stuff, and I weighed in on how I produce technical stuff with her, that's crazy, right? She has no clue about technical stuff. She is not representative of my audience. She's not the person I'm serving at that tech side, right? Does that make sense? So you really need to think, why do you care so much about what someone thinks of you in a certain environment? Just as importantly, to actually know the truth of how they actually perceive you. So there might be a way that I envision that my grandmother perceives how I talk about technology. And then there's what she actually thinks, right? So you want to make sure that you're not setting yourself back into the mental funhouse there, right? So in order to really help out people with this, I have this exercise that I give clients, right, where they ask some interview questions, and it really, really helps them get clarity on this piece. All right, the third vantage point has to do with impact. So as a key aspect to our individual missions is to leave a lasting impact. So in these 13 areas, what kind of impact, or how do they help you leave a lasting impact, right? So when I looked through each of my 13 areas in that way, I realized why I was overwhelmed, right? It's a trifecta of energy, perception, and impact layered over the 13 environments. You really start to understand where things are out of whack, right? So you start to be able to fix things and move around things so that you can excel in each of the environments, and therefore really put everything behind to really fulfill your mission, whatever that calling is that you have. All right, otherwise it just feels like you have too much to do. All right, third stop, uncovering your passions and mission. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, or maybe I didn't, everyone has a God-given mission. I really believe everyone has some kind of calling, right? And I was studying with someone, who was it? And they called it your Dharma. So if that rings truer for you, think about it as your Dharma, right? And what I found interesting is when you uncover your passions, they're often interconnected to your mission, right? Does that make sense, guys? So I usually take people through several exercises to tease these things out, but you may already know what they are, right? So if you know what your passions are, you can start seeing how they're linked to your mission and just write everything down. It really helps so much to journal, because not only does it like allows you to dump everything on paper so it's not floating around in your head using up all that horsepower, but it's nice to go back and reflect on. That's a total aside, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. I typically take people through something to tease all this out, and then we review it with the 13 environments, and a whole lot comes out of that. And usually people realize, okay, this is why I'm also low on energy. This is why I'm exhausted. This is why I feel like I never know what's going on, or I never know what to do. Okay? Their passions and missions are out of line or not aligned with their 13 environments, right? Everything has to be in alignment. Alignment is everything. Everything, everything, everything. That lack of linkage sinks them further into overwhelm and produces emotional outbursts like I had, that my daughter had to calm me down, right? I'm still so grateful she did that, but I still feel like this, I wish she had never had to see that, right? All right, so let's get, where are we? Number 4, creating your own dynamic personal operating system. So this answers that question of what should I do, right? We always run into that, what should I do next? So as I was moving through this phase, I was talking to a really good friend of mine. Her name's Glenda. And I asked her, I started, really diving into coaching classes. So I coached before, but then I wanted to take coaching classes. And so I was asking her if she envisioned her life as a game, what game would it be? And she just broke out laughing. She's like, what the heck are you talking about? And she goes, well, if my life was a game, I have no idea. I lost the rule book. I have no directions. I'm just bumbling around in the dark. I don't know what the objective is. It's like, ugh. And I thought, gosh, I kind of feel like I've lost the direction sometimes with this life. It's nice to have your passion, your mission, but sometimes you just feel disoriented as to what to do next, right? And so the personal operating system is about creating your rule book, creating that your message, which is cool. But it's your game rules. You get to make up the name for yourself. But it enables you to make decisions from a place of integrity and authenticity. Right? It's totally yours. And at times we know that times change, environments change, and so the rules in your rule book need to change as well. So it's important to know how to change it so it does work dynamically. So that being overjoyed, being blissed out AF just becomes a normal way of life for you, right? And you don't dip back into overwhelm. All right, final stop. Hold on. Yes, just following them. Yeah, not just good ideas. You have to follow them. But that's why it's good to get them into your own words. Yes. Okay. Final stop, connecting with a support community during implementation. For me, Creatrix Circle was it. So as I was going through this process, I went on to Meetup, and I was joining all sorts of groups. One of them was the Creatrix Circle, and it is the one that I stayed in because I really felt that support, and I needed it to make these changes stick. I needed that group of women to really lift me up, and I needed to be able to go back in and lift them up. It was a very good cooperative community, which I'm so glad that Linda has brought back. You have no idea, because it just, that group support, there's nothing like it. And I think Linda has a beautiful knack for gathering just the right women together. So during this final phase, it takes, I would say, implementation at least 3 to 6 months, which is why you need a community around you, right? If you were to, let's say you're doing this and then you go back home for the holidays, you'll find yourself slipping back into your old patterns because you're around your old community, that childhood home that raised you, right? And you slip back into whatever personality. So it does take a while to build back up, right? But that community that you find, they become your cheerleading squad. They help you course correct. They become your sounding board and mastermind, right? So when I say that these were the 5 milestones, my 5 steps, you might think, well, none of these are hard, right? They're pretty simple, right? Yes, holidays are a masterclass. I love that. Okay, so you might think this is simple stuff. But I think, as even Jennifer just pointed out, holidays are a masterclass because they're actually difficult, right? They're hard because it means that you're going to come up through all your stuff, all the presuppositions you live with, all the things that you thought were true or you held out as truth with no support underneath them. At times, it'll feel like you're literally under attack. Right? I want to be very honest. You will feel like you're literally under attack, but it's just part of the process, right? It's natural part of the process to grow and to change as you go through the messiness and bump up against all your own crap, right? It's part of working through it. It's part of looking at those shadows, learning to appreciate and integrate them. They're part of who you are, right? We had to divorce ourselves from I'm sorry, I'm getting on a tangent. We had to divorce ourselves from so much because, you know, in childhood, I'm not blaming parents. It is what it is what I'm saying. But in childhood, you divorced yourself from maybe who you really were, and now you're spending your adulthood trying to find out who you are. And you had to, because you were dependent on these people. So you had to be what they needed you to be, right? So you had food, water, and shelter, clothing, and education, right? You were playing their game. But now it's time for you to play your game, find out who you are, and move forward, right? All right, so that's why I said it takes the shadow work. It takes figuring out the personality that emerged was the personality they wanted, the personality that kept you safe in that environment, and all the coping mechanisms that came along with it. And now you have the opportunity, the beautiful opportunity, to go and grab those parts that have been in the dark. Okay, it doesn't mean that they're bad or evil or any of that kind of stuff. They just got put in the shadows because in order for you to survive, they needed to be there. Okay, so I want to share with you a do and a don't. I probably got ahead of myself. Do shine a bright light on your thoughts. It's so much easier to move forward from a place and space of truth. By letting things stay in the dark, you operate from fear. Right? And a friend of mine always used to say, fear is false evidence appearing real. So it's like in the dark, you see a strange man in your room, you flip on the light and it's just a jacket on a hanger, right? The jacket on the hanger is the false evidence appearing real. So make sure you stand in the truth of light. It's so important. And then a don't. Don't delay your joy. I promise you, you have not done one flippin' thing that makes it to where you deserve to stay in a state of overwhelm. I promise you. This is not the life you're supposed to live, okay? Go through a process like what I've outlined. You can do it on your own. You can do it with someone like me, or you can do it in a group. Just don't delay, right? It's too important for you and for those around you. The more that you align yourself with joy, the more tapped in you are in love, right? Overwhelm keeps you frustrated and angry, right? That is the vibration, frustration and anger. And we are a higher vibe community than that, right? You and I know that is no way to be. It's not healthy for you physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, right? It is not helpful to anyone around you. You literally, with overwhelm, of course, it leads to anxiety, so you can have panic attacks. Your cortisol levels go through the frickin' roof, so weight gain. It could get to the point where you have issues, where it manifests out as heart problems and other things. You don't want all of that in your life, okay? All right, so I fulfilled my promise. I shared my steps and what it looks like to go on this journey to a peace, joy, love lifestyle. And I promised you a way to get started now, right? So I'm going to fulfill the second half. Yes, adrenal fatigue. Overwhelm is so insidious, and I swear to you, our culture really puts it on us too. Right? There's this cultural aspect where we have to be perfect. There's this cultural aspect where we have to do more than enough in order to be at baseline. It's like people, I forgot what percentage this is, so I'm not going to quote a percentage, but a high percentage of Americans do not take their vacation time, right? Because they feel like they'll be too far behind at work when they come back. In fact, it's looked at as bad when you take vacation time, like you're not dedicated to that job. So Just putting that out there. You need to really start, trust me, if you quit or died, they replace you in 2 seconds. Like, get your priorities together. Yes, Europeans think we are nuts. And it is nuts, right? All right, so they are right. I want you to begin your journey right now. So in light of that, I'm going to issue your challenge. The only thing I request is feedback. So you can get me feedback, email, social media, whatever. We can put it into the group. Your challenge is to ask 5 people that are close to you 3 questions. So when I'm done, you could just take a snapshot of your screen and you'll see all the 3 questions, or you can write them down, like whatever works for you. I suggest you pick a variety of people, like immediate family, friends, coworkers. So you kind of get different points of view. Okay. Now these questions, I don't know if you remember me talking about the 13 environments. What stop was that? 2, 3? Can't remember. But when you get, it was 2. I usually give women I work with these questions. So it's the exact questions I normally hand out. All right, here we go. Question number 1. What do you love most about me? I think the hardest part about asking these questions is learning the beautiful art of shutting the hell up. Right? Take notes, record it, ask the question, and shut up. Right? You don't, I think we have a tendency to deflect, put ourselves down, and let someone compliment you. It's okay. Let them compliment you. Okay, question number 2. What do you think I could improve on? All right, what do you think I could improve on? Again, now here, this is learning how to take some criticism, but it's constructive criticism. Again, ask the question and be quiet. Question number 3. This one's a little longer. What one quality do I possess that I seem to undervalue that you think I should be more bold about sharing? Right? What to me is absolutely uncanny about that 3rd question. So when you ask 4 or 5 people, you'll find that whatever they say trends through all of them. In psychology, there's this thing called, I'm probably going to mess this up, Johann's window. And if you think about a window pane a window has 4 different panes in it. We clearly see out of 3 of them, but there's one that is hidden that other people around us see clearly. This gets at that window pane. Okay. So if you haven't taken a screenshot, go ahead and take the screenshot. This would be it. All 3 questions are up. So like I said, these questions really help you get to the truth of how other people actually perceive you, not what you think they perceive you, right? And they're my gift to you. All I want you to do is give me some feedback as you get to the truth. I'm really interested to see what you learn as you go through this process. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple more things. Linda, I'm going to ask, let me get to the screen. What questions do you guys have? Because I know I might have met some, so just put them back in. I can't make my little chat box any bigger here. So when it was scrolling like mad, I was missing it because y'all were typing a lot. Oh, that's probably much easier, Linda. Yes, unmute. Unmute if you have a question.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for those beautiful questions. I'm already like going, whoa, that 3rd question especially. I'm really curious what people would say.
It's interesting what comes up with that 3rd question.
Because I can't even guess. I mean, seriously, I have no idea.
I was shocked. When I asked that question, I talked to about 10 people and I asked and I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing I ever envisioned. I thought they were nuts. but then I'm hearing it over and over again. I'm like, okay, either everyone's drinking the crazy Kool-Aid or this might be some truth I need to look at.
The other talking point that I really loved was how to journal how your passions are somehow linked to your mission. I've never thought of sitting down and just journaling about that because, you know, we all have more than one passion.
Yes.
You know? And they may on the surface look like they're in completely different categories. And I've never just sat and thought, wow, how are all these things I really enjoy and love, how are they all connected to, you know, this kind of deeper, what I would call soul mission.
Yes.
I'm here to be in the world. So I'm really excited about sitting with that and seeing what shows up.
Awesome. Anyone else have questions? There's like one or two other things I'm going to share with you, but I wanted to be sure because I realized I didn't stop for questions as much as I would have liked. So just unmute and ask. Don't be shy.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We hear you, Jennifer.
I got pulled away, so I missed the 13 environments. And so what was that, or where do we find that? Is that I was thinking of the circle of life. Is it that?
I'm not sure. It might be, Jennifer. I know I have 13 environments I work with.
Okay.
I do have a blog post on it, I think.
Okay.
And I think, Linda, did you say I should post that in the, so I'll go back and find it and I'll post it, and I just have them listed.
Okay.
So
I just had missed that part, so I can look at your blog too and find it.
Yeah, but I'm going to have to find it on there myself. I just know I have it.
Thank you. But I heard what you said about them, but I just was like, but where are they? So.
I did list them out, but I just wanted to say it's, even if you used what you said, you had a life wheel, and I'm pretty sure that'll go through like what kind of thoughts, your magnetic environment, like what kind of thoughts,
yes,
what kind of ideas enter your head as you go through that. So that might work just as well for you.
Yeah.
As you go through all of those things, you just use those 3 different ways to view them, those 3 different vantage points. It really opens up a lot for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
So,
all right, go ahead.
I have a question. So I know that, you know, there's those moments like the one you described in your life where there was a million things going on and, you know, you were just completely overwhelmed, both mentally, physically, emotionally, probably even spiritually. And, you know, you had that one little wake up moment where your daughter hugged you, you know, just kind of created almost a pause for that moment, so that you could be reminded that everything was going to be okay. And that's a wonderful like intervention in that moment when someone's overwhelmed. And I guess my question would be that, I don't even know if it's a question, maybe it's more of an awareness that how important that is, that if we see someone, a sister, I mean, not just even a biological sister, but, you know, one of our female friends or someone we care about who's like, you can just see it, they are absolutely in overwhelm. Just to actually do that, to create that pause for a moment, you know, hold their hand or hug them and just let them know, you know, it's going to be okay, because it helps to create a mental switch in the mind.
Exactly. Yes.
So
yes.
they can be like, oh yeah, it's going to be, it's like they need to hear it, right? We have to hear it in those moments where we're so overwhelmed, we can't see an okay. But if somebody actually says that and gives us a touch, that would be like, wow. Because I've had moments like that before where I've had someone do that for me. It was so critical to the kind of the perspective shift I needed, the kind of break. You know, as Jennifer said, it's a loving pattern interrupt.
Yes.
That gives you this moment to like just breathe and go, okay, let's just stop the crazy making right now and just go into, yes, everything is going to be okay. And so I think that was actually a beautiful moment where your daughter, you know, could see that in you. So in a way, we as parents, we need to receive that actually from our children, because they need to know that we're not perfect, that, we get overwhelmed, we're we make mistakes, etc., and that they have also an important purpose in helping us to be present for them. So that in that moment made you a little bit more present when she, hugged you and said everything was going to be okay. So in a way, we as mothers, I know me, it's like I want to be tough, I don't want to show I'm weak, but that actually I realized was maybe a disservice to my own daughter, because
Yeah.
it makes her pretend she's tough, and then she won't show aspects of, her struggle to me because she's trying to be like mom. And I'm thinking that's probably not, the best role model. So I began to be more vulnerable with my daughter, not to have her be my caretaker. I mean, I make a real clear line boundary that I'm the grown up and I can take care of myself, and she's not here to counsel me or, be my big sister or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't try to hide as much as I used to how I'm feeling. Instead, I'm just being honest. Some days are tougher than others. And so I've noticed with her in these past 2 years since I've started making this change, she's actually become more honest in sharing with me when she's overwhelmed. And, she's 14, she's a teenager. So although, from our perspective as adults, the teenage world, it doesn't seem that overwhelming, but to them and things that are going on with their peers and all of that, their body changes, that's overwhelming for someone that age. So she's been way more honest with letting me know when she's overwhelmed so that I can step in and create a pattern interrupt, as Jennifer said, to help, her kind of bring things back into perspective, because teenagers can go nuts thinking about crazy making stuff that doesn't make any sense and just spin themselves out, and then they're non-functional. I mean, I've seen my daughter do that. So when she is able to be in this place where she can be honest with me, like, mom, I'm really, because I can see it in her face. We moms, we can read our kids pretty well. So I can see it in her face. And so I'll tell her, okay, what's going on? And she'll be like, well, and then I may have to just get quiet for a while and then kind of coax her to kind of let me know what's overwhelming her. And so then I can give her particular tools that can help her as a teenager to shift, like you said, shift the perspective. How are you looking at the environment? How are you looking at these friends? You may be projecting some belief about your friends thinking these things, but they really aren't. Is there any proof? It's like in kind of helping her kind of mentally shift out of this crazy overwhelm that she's going through. So it's been really nice for me to become more vulnerable as a mother in, kind of just being truthful when I'm a bit in overwhelm, and there have been moments where she's done the same thing. She's just come and just hugged me. It's like she doesn't even have to say anything. And that's like my pattern interrupt. It's like, okay, I need to be present right here, right now. What am I doing in my mind that's creating the overwhelm in this moment that she's feeling, because she's an empath. She feels everything. Most of our children are empaths. They feel us, even though they may not show it or say it. They feel everything we as parents are going through. And so it becomes overwhelming for them. So when we acknowledge it, it releases the stress that they're holding. Yes.
Yes, the cats too.
Exactly.
I'm sure my dog was the same, Stephen.
Yes.
She was a rock for me.
Yes. And thank you, Jennifer. Yes, it's true that it was my shift that helped my daughter. So when I work with parents, specifically mothers, and they're really concerned about a child or specific children, it's like, let's work on you because you're the bigger influence. And so when you work on shifting the things about yourself and how you interact with them, etc., your attitudes, your beliefs, they will automatically shift.
Yeah.
And, then they won't be feeling like they're the wrong one, that they're the problem. Because the truth is, children are teachers, they're not our problem. They may be acting out things that drive us crazy sometimes, but they're not our problem. We need to shift as adults so that they can be in our environment in a more peaceful way. So if we're not in our peace, then we can't expect them to be in theirs. So it's one of those things that I always tell, I tell parents, Let's just focus on you and watch. Things are going to shift. If you're willing to do the shifts, you will see those changes starting to subtly happen in your kids. And Africa, I know you've seen that happen.
Yeah, I've seen it happen to my husband.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
I worked hard on myself, and I've seen huge, monumental shifts in my husband. Because you can't change another person.
Right.
But you can change yourself and your own energy, and chances are they'll vibrate up to meet you.
Exactly. So that's what's really beautiful, is that your energy affects everyone around you. I don't know if anybody's heard of Donna Eden. She's like a master energy medicine practitioner who's been doing this work for like 40 years. And I began doing some indirect mentoring with her and some of the work that she does. And she was literally in front of a huge audience with Mind Valley, and she was showing people how just one person can weaken the energy field of everybody in a room just because of where their energy is. It was just fascinating. You know, we all know that. It's like you get around someone and all of a sudden your energy is all drained and you feel really tired. You know, it's because their energy field isn't flowing. And so because of that, then it brings everybody down. So that's the power we have. So when we're in a really aligned place, we're in our joy, we're in our bliss, we have our mind, our mental state really focused, then we actually bring up everyone around us. That includes our family, friends, even in a grocery store, we're in line somewhere. I mean, I've noticed that happen. I had a situation where I was in a particular store, and the man that was working with me, there was some things he needed to do. It was a return I was doing, and something wasn't happening with corporate, and they weren't responding to him. And I could see him. He was getting red, and he was getting really angry with the whole process. So I just sat there, and I just got really calm. I got really calm. I just sent him lots of love and light and appreciation that he was, attempting to help me with this return that was a problem with the corporate office, not with their actual store. And so I just kept being in this really calm state and just visually sending him lots of calming, like pink light, just to calm him down. Uh-oh, what happened? And so anyway, I think I lost the picture. Where's everybody? Can you hear me?
I still hear you.
Okay, well.
We're down there somewhere.
Yeah, I can't find the picture, but okay. And so anyway, I just noticed him completely calm down just from me being in this place of just being very calm and sending him calm energy. It's like the whole room, the whole place where I was at, everybody just calmed down. So that's how powerful we are. To shift our energy and those of others.
Yes, Jennifer, that's true. Just exactly. Wonder what you're saying, what Jennifer pretty much just said. Shift the energy of the people around you.
Yes. Back to me. Here I am. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, okay. Otherwise, they'll shift you, right?
Yes.
So awesome. I wanted to say there's a couple of tools I know that I didn't have a chance to share. But the pattern interrupt, I'm glad you pointed that out. I never even really thought about it, but it definitely was. And I love that term, loving pattern interrupt. And it switches you, just like if that pattern interrupt comes from someone else and you feel their love, that is tremendous. And that really speaks to you on a very much of an emotional and spiritual level. Mm-hmm. On a neural processing level, even if that pattern interrupt came and you were so kind of closed off emotionally, you couldn't feel their love, it would at least make you stop and breathe. And if you take in a couple of deep cleansing breaths for just 30 seconds, it gets you out of your reptilian brain and into your higher executive functioning of your frontal cortex. So you can start problem solving, right? Instead of spinning. So that is another thing I would say. Breathe for just deep cleansing breaths, 30 seconds. Just 30. I mean, if you can go longer, by all means. But if you can at least get in 30 seconds, that's enough of a pattern interrupt to take you out of your reptilian brain. Yes, in and out of left nostril. Awesome. Linda, I want to wrap up really quick, and I know you want to do a clearing as well, so let me go ahead and wrap up. Like I said earlier, you can do this alone. I've given you a lot to get started with, and so has Linda. We've given you a lot of information. So you can get going on this process. You can deal with the times that you're in overwhelm. If you realize that you need support, of course, I want to support you, right? There are a couple of ways that I help people with support. One's called the Overwhelm Cure Experience. The other one's called the Peace, Joy, Love Lifestyle Project. So, and then I have a third that I'm actually going to share with you. But the Overwhelm Cure Experience, I'm telling you these if you're curious. It's by application only. It's a private experience. It starts at $13,000. There's a small group experience that starts at $5,000. If you want more details on this, this is an in-person intensive. So if you want more details, just let me know and I'll get those to you. The Peace, Joy, Love Lifestyle Project is a year-long program. It's designed for women who have super overburdened schedules, right? But they do want to implement these changes. They do want a Peace, Joy, Love lifestyle, right? It includes unlimited private coaching. It starts out at $5,555. If that program's interesting to you, reach out to me and I'll give you some more details. What I actually thought about for this group is I want to share something that was a little bit more simple, like a getting started kind of thing. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, let me share it out. And it was this. It's like a flash sale. I don't know, can y'all see it? Yeah, I think so. It's called Change Will Do You Good. So it's really a lot like my Peace, Joy, Love Lifestyle Project, except for instead of it being a year long, it's 30 days. So we'll go through your 13 environments. We'll focus on the environments that are the most out of alignment. So we'll do like this quick tour through the stops and pull in the things that are most out of alignment and then work on those over the course of 30 days. And then at the end of 30 days, we'll look at the changes that you were able to make. It does include unlimited private coaching. It does include all the assessments. It also includes a 30-minute kickoff call on top of everything else. So it's on Zoom, just like we're doing now. So if you're interested in this, my brain will work. Here we go. I'll put the link in the comments. And I'll also put the link in the, I said comments. I'll put the link in the chat. And I'll also put it in the group as well. Okay. Yeah, 30 days. And a lot, as you know, a lot changes in the course of even 14 days. You can change your whole life around in 30 days. It's just focus and support. Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. That was
Thank
wonderful.
you, Jennifer.
Okay.
But the countdown's there, so I put the count. I should have said this. I put the countdown there because I'll only have this open through Friday.
Okay.
So it's on an ongoing thing. I just want to do something special for this group, but you have to take advantage of it by this Friday.
Yay. I like the idea of 30 days because they say to change a habit, it takes at least 21.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also other research that says up to 40 days can really like anchor it in. So 30 days is kind of like that middle road. Like, yeah, you're going to change the habit by 21. You're going to start anchoring it in by 30. So I really like that whole 30-day concept. That's beautiful.
Yeah, you could get a lot done. So it's 11/11. It's for the month, and if it's for you, definitely take advantage of it.
Yay. Well, we're going to do a quick clearing. So some of you know me, some of you don't. And so my name is Linda Galvan, and yes, I invite you all to be part of the Creatrix Collective. Well, except for Stephen, because it's a women's group. I sometimes invite men. Stephen has actually been on, I did a couples panel last year on conscious coupling. So every once in a while, I invite men to the Creatrix Circle. So for this coming month of June, it's always on the second Friday of each month. So the second Friday for June is on the 14th, and it's usually in the evening at 7:30. And right now it's being hosted at my home in my studio. However, I'm looking at a possibility of having it hosted somewhere in Central Austin. So I'm still working on that location right now. And I'll have a guest. So some months I invite a guest. So I met this really wonderful woman through networking. Her name is Maria, and she is someone who has in the past worked with Ayurveda. And so she does this beautiful process to teach you how to take care of your skin with natural herbs and non-chemical things, and how to take care of your body from that kind of Ayurvedic tradition, using herbs and plant-based things. And so, and she's also a beautifully intuitive person. And if you saw her skin, you'd be like, oh my God, what are you doing? She has this gorgeous skin. So she is going to be sharing with us about beauty from this different perspective of working with herbs and plants. So I'll be sending out information. So she's going to be the person I'm featuring for the Creatrix Collective, Friday, June the 14th, which I think is the second Friday of the month. So if you want to be a part of that, you can always just send me a text. I'm going to put my number here and just say, is that right? Yes. And then all you do is text me and just say, hey, add me to the list so I can get the announcements. And then you can always go on to Creatrix Collective, just search it in Facebook, and let everybody, search it in Facebook and just click to join, and then I'll add you to the group. So if you want to be part of that, so you get announcements through Facebook as well. And because it's also a type of a support network for women, if you're doing a particular event or anything along those lines, you can post that on the Facebook page. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to just tune in and ask what right now for the group and those who may watch the video later, what wants to clear. So I am a transformational facilitator for women, and I use all kinds of interesting superpowers to assist in helping us shift energy. So think of me as an energy practitioner, energy worker. We're all made of energy. So it's just about tuning into that energy. And so it's one of my gifts. I can tune into the energy of things and see where things want to shift for the group. And since today we've been talking about overwhelm, and we really want to be in a state of joy, the energy that I'm getting is where we have blocks around how much joy we're willing to allow ourselves to experience. That's what keeps coming up for the group. How much joy do we block? Even though in our minds, yes, we want to have a joyful life. Yes, we want to feel joy. But the truth is, if you didn't grow up like joyful, because for whatever reason, your family life wasn't that, then there's a ceiling level as to how much joy you could actually feel. And then on an unconscious level, your mind blocks it. Once you hit that certain ceiling level of joy, can't have any more, because beyond that, who knows what might happen. Maybe you were a very joyful child and you got shut down. Like your family just couldn't handle the level of joy and light you were as a child. So they shut you down in all kinds of, maybe, unfortunate ways through words, etc. And so what I'm hearing is that we need to open up the level of joy we're able to feel in our bodies, and we're able to allow. So there's a subconscious clearing that wants to happen right now for the whole group around where we have blocked or put a limit on the amount of joy we are allowing ourselves to actually experience in this lifetime. So yeah, okay, so for some of you, it's ancestral. So I'm seeing some ancestral energy coming in. This is generational, like the joy got taken out of your family system, either on your mother's, your father's, or both sides of the family long ago. It's possible that a major trauma or something happened in the family system way before you were born. I feel for some of you, it was maybe 3, 4, 5 generations before. And so literally joy was ripped out of the whole energy system of your family. And so it's hard for you to access that whole idea of joy. It's like, I have a mental idea of joy, but I really don't know what it actually feels like in my body. So for some of you, there's that level of disconnect happening. And then for some of you, you've had those powerful moments of joy that were like snatched away from you by someone. It could have even been a teacher, something, like that. And then for some of you, it's like you feel joy, but only to a certain level. Then it gets scary after that. It's like, oh my God, how much longer is this incredible level of joy going to last before, all the dominoes fall? So it's almost an expectation that after the joy, there's something bad that's going to happen. So on a subconscious level, we have to shift that. Otherwise, we then attract that. Especially if it's on an unconscious level, think of it, it's an energy vibration that is actually in your energy field, sometimes at the level of your cells or your DNA. And you don't even realize why you're attracting these joyless moments in your life. Even though you personally want to be joyful, you have a mindset to be joyful, but you keep attracting these things that, either take away your joy, destroy your joy, limit your joy, dampen your joy. And it's because of a frequency energy that's somewhere stuck at the subconscious level in your cells or in your DNA. So what we're going to do right now, and just so you can understand how this works, I am not the healer. I'm only here as a channel for divine grace to come through, so that whatever you're ready to release and clear, you're basically saying yes to that divine within you and the divine that created all of creation to come in and assist in clearing this out. But if you don't want that, that's absolutely your choice, because you live in free will zone, and you can say, no, I'm going to keep my joylessness, thank you. And you can say, no, I don't want to be a part of this, and just know that the energy work that happens here won't affect you in any way. So what we want to do right now is we just want to allow divine grace to be present. And so the way I see divine grace is as this beautiful golden light. So I just want you to first feel your feet on the earth, connecting to earth. You can maybe feel some roots growing down to the bottom of the earth, to the center of the earth, just to get you rooted here. Feeling Mother Earth send you energy up your roots, up your legs, all the way into the heart, expanding your heart open. You can imagine that energy flowing straight up out the top of your head. And then imagine that light connecting. So you have this beam coming out the top of your head, and it connects to that divine light above you. And so as you connect to this divine light, you're going to invoke or invite grace to be here. So we're just inviting grace. I invoke grace to be here to assist to clear out on the deepest levels of our unconscious, our subconscious, at the cellular level, at your DNA level, any programming that comes from generations before you, from traumas you may have experienced in this lifetime, from any event that may have blocked your ability to really experience joy at the fullest level. So joy in your body, joy in your mind, joy in your spirit. So all those ways that maybe that was limited, or a ceiling was placed on your ability to feel joy at its deepest level, I'm asking grace to come in. So you can imagine this beautiful golden light coming in through the top of your head and just letting it flow down through your body, and let all parts of your body get filled with this beautiful golden light of grace. You can see every cell maybe twinkling with golden light. And you're just receiving this beautiful golden light all the way down to the tips of your fingers, the tips of your toes. And we're inviting grace in to clear out anything and everything that has been blocking the next level of your joy, your ability to feel joy in every moment, to be able to choose joy, to be able to increase the level of joy you feel in your life, to be able to give yourself permission to feel more joy in your life, to invite joy into parts of your life that you've never thought to invite joy into. So you can invite joy into your eating. You can invite joy into your moments of work. You can invite joy into exercise. You can invite joy into a communication between a family member that you tend to have issues with. You can invite joy into those moments that you've never thought to invite joy into. So I want you right now just to let this beautiful golden grace be here. And just think of areas of your life where you would like to invite in more joy, where you would like to feel more joy. Maybe it's in an interaction or relationship with someone, a family member, a friend. Maybe with strangers in general, you just want to feel more joy. Maybe there's certain environments where you tend to feel less joy and you want to invite in more joy into those environments. So I want you just to bring to mind those areas that you want to invite in more joy, feel more joy, allow and give permission for more joy. So example, I give permission to feel deeper joy in my interactions with strangers. That would be one of my intentions, that as I interact with strangers, I want to just really be in my full joy and not hold back. Maybe you can I invite in more joy in my interactions with my coworkers. I invite in more joy in my interactions with particular family members, and you can even name them. So these are all examples of how you can invite in joy to experience it on a deeper level. And so as you're inviting that in, it's actually clearing out this old energy. So we're just clearing and deleting and uncreating all of that old energy that doesn't even belong to you, that came from generations before you, from traumas of the past, where you limited your joy, where you thought you could only feel so much joy, where joy was snatched away from you and you gave your power over to those people in order to align with them or be nice to them or be liked by them. So if you wanted to please and you had to dampen your joy to please your family or to please friends in school when you were younger, those things leave imprints. So we're clearing the imprints right now of all the ways joy's been limited in your life, all the ways you gave your power over to other people instead of owning the power of your own joy. So right now you just want to really feel that joy kind of flowing into your body. You might be able to see it or feel it as a color. Some people have different ways that they sense energy. Maybe you're feeling tingling on the body. Maybe you're not feeling anything. Maybe you're just noticing some mental shifts in your head. Maybe you're noticing energy in certain parts of your body moving. So we're just inviting in this shift with this up-leveling to be able to feel joy, allow joy, experience joy, invite in joy more deeply, and releasing out all the ways that we have in some way aligned with the limitation of feeling joy. So we're just allowing that right now to just move. And so as that energy is moving for each of you at the level it's supposed to, so just know for everyone it's different. Divine grace knows exactly what you need. So your job is just to surrender to that grace if you so choose, and let that beautiful energy of grace move whatever needs to be moved. Erase, clear out whatever needs to be cleared out so that you can actually be the joyful being that you actually were born to be. We are all by birthright created by the divine. We're created from love to experience joy. Those are the highest, some of the highest vibrations that we as humans and as spiritual beings have access to. Joy is literally right at the top. When they lay out the levels of vibration and frequency of different feelings such as truth or love, joy, etc., peace, joy is literally right at the top. It's one of the highest frequencies we as humans can experience and emanate. So it is what I consider one of the highest vibrations that is closest to God, closest to Creator, is when we're in our highest joy. And this is what divine wants for us. Divine doesn't want us to suffer. Divine doesn't want us to feel, horrible all the time. Divine wants us to invite in that joy, allow that joy to flow through us because we're created that way. We're wired to be joyful beings. That's the actual truth. But what we see out there in the real world is opposite that. It tells us something opposite, that we are, wired to be stressed and to be, hard donkey mule workers and all of that. That is not the truth. We are wired to be joyful beings. So we have to take those steps to choose that joy, to invite that joy, to give permission for more of that joy in our lives. So this is about you today deciding, I choose more joy in my life. I invite more joy in my life. I give permission to experience more joy in my life. I let my body feel joy. I move in ways that make my body feel joy. I think in ways that make me joyful. I take actions that bring joy into my life. So this is the new energy. This is the new programming that's being downloaded for all of you. This is the new transmission of light so that you feel joy more deeply at the next level. And so just breathing that in, taking that into your heart, letting all of that integrate. So know that it's still clearing out some of the things that are not joy. So if right now you're thinking, wow, I'm just not really feeling the joy right now, just know it's clearing. It's clearing out some of the things that are not joy so that you can actually feel the joy underneath. So think of it this way. Joy is at the bottom of the pile, and we're having to, dig off and take off the pile of junk of life that has kept you from feeling that joy that's the foundation that's always been there. So we're just kind of clearing everything off the joy foundation so that you can actually feel the joy underneath it all. So I just want you to just know that if you're not feeling that deep joy yet, it's because some of these layers are still being cleared. And I'm hearing that this clearing may happen for some of you for at least 3 days. So just know that it's going to keep on running until it completes and those layers that are ready to go, go. So taking another long, deep breath and just gently opening your eyes and coming back into the Zoom room and allowing yourself to be here now and just really allowing that energy to just keep moving. And whatever your guidance is telling you needs to move today. Maybe today you just need to anchor in that joy by going outside and being in the sun or leaning against a tree or going and planting a flower or something that brings you joy. Do that because that's going to anchor in this new frequency even more. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. How's everybody feeling? You can all unmute if you want to so that you can give us any feedback or anything going on.
That felt wonderful, Linda. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. That was wonderful.
Yay! I can see more joy in your faces. But it's so interesting because I'm seeing lots of energy moving actually in the heart area. So because joy comes from the heart. So there's been lots of wounding that's happened in the heart for pretty much everyone on the planet. And so that actually kind of caps down our joy so that we don't really fully feel it through our whole heart, our whole spiritual heart. We only feel it in parts of our lives. So I feel kind of fragmented moments of joy. So what's happening right now is this huge integration all in the heart space right now. It's all heart to really clear out the wounding. And again, some of this wounding you're holding for your family system. Some of this wounding you're holding for specific people in your family. Some of this wounding you're holding for generations before you. Some of the wounding might be yours, but I feel a lot of it is actually wounding that came from generations before. Because when we come into the world to share our light, we tend to take on a lot for our families as light workers in order to clear stuff. So I feel like a lot of that wounding is being cleared out that you're holding that's not even yours. So that's also, I'm hearing, being cleared too. So over the next coming days, you're going to start to have more kind of bigger moments of joy. And so just consciously bookmark them. Like, oh, I can feel my joy right now. Like bookmark it so that your whole body, your mind just memorizes it and records it. So you can go back to it and bring it up in those moments when you really are overwhelmed and you really need to I need to feel that joy again. And you just go back to the bookmark. So when you have a great feeling, you want to bookmark it. You want to go I want to feel this. I want to remember this in my body. And I call it a bookmark. And that helps you to be able to go back to it. Your mind remembers it and goes, oh yeah, I remember that time when I felt that way. And then you can go back to it and start bringing that energy back through, and it starts to clear whatever may be going on in that moment that's causing you to feel overwhelmed. So that's a little tool to help, energy tool. All right. Any other questions for Africa, or any other questions anybody else has for me or anything? All right. Everybody's all blissed out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Africa. That was beautiful. Oh my God, I love your beautiful slide presentations. They're just gorgeous. I love them.
Thank you, Africa. Thank you.
You guys. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to actually think of several people to send those questions to. Those are genius questions. The 3 questions that you said, ask 5 people.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start sending some of these questions.
I'm excited to see what you trend on that last question.
I know. I'm just I'm curious too. oh my, what would be the one quality that I possess that I seem to undervalue that that the other person thinks I should what be
Sure.
more bold about sharing. Yeah, I don't know. I literally don't know what that answer is. But anyway. Well, thank you so much. You all have a blessed day. Thank you, Africa, for your beautiful light and your genius and your wisdom. And I will send you this link, and we'll share this link on the Facebook, and we can share it wherever we want to share it, so that people can get the benefits of what you just shared with us. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me,
you.
Linda.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Y'all have a beautiful Wednesday. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.